I think we're just going to go ahead and get started. We've got some folks in the room. We've got some that are still jumping online on Zoom. So thank you, Vija, for willing to do this for our Market Center. And I can't even begin to describe your background or introduce you. So I'm just going to let you kind of give us a rundown on who you are. Okay.
Awesome. And Hattie, could you do me a favor and come in? My computer's doing that thing again where it's not charging. And maybe while I'm presenting, you can figure out how to give me a charge here. Oh, that would be because it's not plugged in. Oh my God. You know what? This is going to be a fun morning.
You want to pour a glass of wine before we start?
That would be the worst. It's fixed because I plugged it in. Funny you should say that. I'm staring at a case of wine that someone delivered yesterday. I was just blown away. Patrick Woods.
I know.
And spent and
you look real bad, so I guess I'm gonna have to.
Well, I don't send everyone wine either, but anyway. Okay, so we've got 12 people. So for these 12 people, we're gonna I'm so excited about what I'm about to present. But yeah, my name's Vija Williams and I am in Seattle, Washington. So it's a little earlier. I think you guys are 2 hours ahead, right? So it's 11? Is that right? Yeah. And what you want me to give an introduction?
Yeah, just so they know who they're talking to. I mean, yeah. I know you're a superstar and they don't.
No.
They're about to know.
You guys are the superstars, not me. I have been a real estate agent since 2002. I'm a second generation realtor. And so I started off as an individual agent. And then I started growing a team in 2012 after I moved to Keller Williams. And I say it often, moving to Keller Williams completely changed my life. I'm a huge advocate of the brand and what it's done. And in fact, I did a recent podcast, Hattie, I don't know if you want to drop that link, but I did a recent podcast on empire building on my financial journey and just how much moving to Keller Williams has changed that trajectory. So when I moved to Keller Williams, I got exposed to all of the big thinkers that we see, including Ben Kinney, by the way, who I now work for. And I entered into a market center that was bought about a year later by Ben Kinney. And so I'd never heard of him and I didn't know him. And he became my OP. So if there's any guests today, we use a lot of acronyms in Keller Williams. OP means operating principal. It means he's just a franchise owner. He owns our offices. And he started coaching me. And so my first year at Keller Williams, I did like 9.6 million in volume. And I was really happy with that year. You know, it was a downturn back then and it was a tough time to sell real estate. And coaching with Ben Kinney, the next year I did 25 million and then I did 37 million and then 48 million and then really kind of topped off. I was kind of in the 60 and 70 millions for a while, you know, just kind of coaching under Ben. I then, after kind of a team disaster, I would say, I then went over to work for Ben. And so now what I do is we have 8 Keller Williams franchises here in Western Washington that I lead. I'm the director of growth, and that means that I just lead our 8 market centers. And I'm also on the operating committee for our mortgage, title, and escrow. And now everything we do is getting rebranded from Ben Kinney to what we call Place. So Place is now what you're going to start seeing. Instead of Ben Kinney team, you'll start seeing, you know, Place everywhere. The other thing that happened in this journey is I went into business with 10 of my BFFs, and we have an event called Amplify. It's amplifyevent.com, and it's a group of amazing women, and we do events, both virtual and physical, and we're going to start branching out to other things on women in business. It's targeted for women in business. So if you are here and you are female and you are looking for a tribe, I highly recommend amplifyevent.com. And then my most recent project is I'm a co-host of a podcast called Empire Building, and I do that with Wendy Papasan, Sarah Reynolds, and Seychelle Van Poel. And it is by far the most fun side hustle passion project I've ever had. It's great. But I think what's important about all that is that I still sell real estate. In fact, I just went, and I know every area has its own terms, but I just went mutual last night is what we call it. So pending, what do you guys call it when you get into contract? Ratify?
Pending. Yep.
Just went pending last night for a buyer. I mean, if it's so I'm actively, Ben really challenged me to keep selling 1 to 2 houses a month. He was like, if you sell 1 to 2 houses a month, you will be a better coach, a better trainer, a better recruiter, a better leader. And you know what? He was right. I fought it for a while and he was right. So when I teach this stuff, literally, I am still doing it. And I'm only saying that because I think that I was actually talking to Ben about it last night. I think a lot of the trainers that we go listen to, they're really great speakers. Like I love, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, they're really great speakers. They're not out selling real estate right now. They're not actively, in the trenches right now, getting rejected, having deals fall apart, showing up at open houses and, trying to mitigate. What do you do when you have 30 groups through? You know what I mean? They're not necessarily in it right now. And so I try to do training that's very tactical because I'm in it. And I try to translate that to my training. So every Wednesday on the Pivot Shift Ahead page, I'm live at noon Pacific time, which would be 2 your time. And we do agent trainings every single week. And it's super tactical and super, news you can use, right? So that's kind of another thing that I do, Olivia. I don't know if that answers your question. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
And you've been involved in Gary Keller private top agent.
Yeah, it's a funny story. Yeah, thank you for saying that because I'm always, I feel a little self-conscious about that. I got into that group in like 2013, way earlier than I should have. So I have been blessed to be in that group for coming on, 8, 9 years. And for all of you guys, who are individual agents and teams, and I just aspire to be in that group. It changed my life. That's really what changed my life. It was the people I met there. And it's a worthy aspiration to be in that room because the people you meet there are so important. I think it's part of what makes Keller Williams special. So thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. I don't deserve to be in that room though. There's a lot of people in there that are pretty amazing.
I beg
amazing people.
All right. Shall we dive in?
Yeah. So, I know there's some of you in the room and there's about 15 of you. And Olivia, you can maybe translate for me, but who here, views open houses as an active part of their lead generation?
We also have 8 or 10 in the room that I'm in the training room, and we've got 15 online. So I see 4 or 5 hands going up in the training room as well.
In the training room, and feel free to, you guys, I have chat open right now. It's like right in front of me too. I know that there's so many shy people. Do I pronounce it Ronnie? Is it pronounced Ronnie or Roni?
Ronnie. Yep.
Ronnie. I just want to thank Ronnie. Yes. Thank you, Ronnie and Sarah, for being on camera. I love it when people are on camera. It just makes me feel like I'm interacting and not talking to myself. So, thank you. Thank you, you guys. Melissa, Tom, thank you, you guys. It makes it feel like you're participating in the meeting. Do you guys do open houses as part of your lead gen? You guys all do? Okay. So before I go into my slide deck, I just want to give a quick intro. There are a lot of great open house classes. I mean, so many great ones, right? And I remember going to some myself, and a lot of them were like hot dog stands and latte carts and like all sorts of like really exciting things. And, Rachel Adams is like an incredible trainer, for instance, on door knocking and everything, right? What I'm going to talk to you about today is actually what to do. All the setups, all the other people's classes, go to them. They're important. They're great, right? Go to Rachel Adams' house or class. You can go to her house too. She has a really pretty house actually, but go to her class on door knocking. Go to so-and-so's class on, how to bring in clowns and popcorn stands. And that's all great, right? This is going to tell you what to actually do to convert business. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, right? All the bells and whistles are great though, and I'm kind of a promoter at heart, so I'm a big fan of them. But like, I just want you guys to feel like you understand what you're going to get out of today. This is me making I think at this point, 7 figures between me and my team from what I'm about to tell you. It's real, it works. Like, this is my life. Like, this isn't pie in the sky. You know, I came up with this great curriculum and I go around and teach it. This is literally how I got my start in real estate and how I continue to train my team to get their start in real estate. And Hattie here is on my team. She can attest to this. I mean, she's already writing her first deal and she hasn't even really started yet. So like, we live this, and I just wanted to kind of be clear. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm super informal and casual. And so we're just gonna, you know, you guys are going to interrupt me. I hope. I love it actually, because it makes me feel like I'm not talking to myself. That's the problem with Zoom. You're also polite, like everyone like mutes, but at the same time, you're all muted. So I can't hear feedback.
Yeah.
So, so feel free to interrupt and ask questions. I mean it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the real estate sales process. Might sound basic, but it's a general premise that I find I need to use to kind of framework this. And here's what it is. Do y'all think that your product is houses? Is that what you guys all think you're selling? Someone here unmute or put it in chat. What is the culmination of your sales process? Is it selling a house? Is it when I went mutual last night? Or went pending last night, to use your terminology? Is that the culmination of my sales process? Is it closing? What is it? Say that again. Is that mine or is that someone else's?
It's someone else's. I can't tell who is
Okay.
saying that.
Okay.
But yeah,
I would say relationships and customer service.
Okay, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So here's how I want you to think. And can you all see this? It's kind of small.
yes.
Especially in the room. Here's how I want you to start thinking. Okay. Your sales process culminates in you getting a buyer or a seller to sign an agreement, guys. You're selling yourself. I'm pausing because I want effect. So it's either a listing agreement or a buyer agreement, right? So here's where the big twist is. This is why I start off this way. The big twist is y'all probably think that your culmination is getting mutual. I used to think that, you know, it's getting mutual acceptance, getting pending, right? I'm like, well, that's it, right? I'm gonna push back a little bit. Unless you are here working specifically for a builder as an employee or a full-time on-site representative, in which case I would argue your product is the house sale. Your sales process ends, you guys, in them agreeing to work with you, whatever that looks like. Now, the finding them a house or selling the listing, now that's transaction mode. That is not sales mode anymore. The sales mode ends with you getting an agreement for them to work with you. Okay, it's fundamental to understand this. So you're selling yourself as a service. We are a business service. You're selling yourself as a service, and your product is houses, right? It could be shoes. It could be, what are all the things I buy? It could be Rodan and Fields. It could be Mary Kay. It could be cars, right? Car salesman. I used to sell radio advertising. It could be radio sales advertising. The important thing in real estate is it's a business service and you're selling yourself. What is the number one most important activity? What is the only thing that matters? The only real activity that matters to get to agreement? There's a big hint in front of you, right in front of you. It's in orange.
An
Appointment. Sarah, you are my favorite today. Good job. Well, that was a hard one to figure out too. That was a hard one. So, everything we do in real estate, I think the fundamental philosophy moving into this open house training and how I guess I want you to think is everything we do in real estate should be geared towards getting the appointment. Almost every conversation we have should be geared towards getting the appointment. Now, look, not all of them. I get it. We have to have conversations in the appointment to get to agreement, and we certainly have to get agreement to ratified contract depending. I understand that. I'm being a little overly simplistic, but the way I want you to think is that the number one most important leading indicator in real estate, period, end of story, is appointments. Can we agree? Can everyone here agree that would your life be changed if you had 80 new buyer and new seller appointments a year? Would your life be changed? Can we all agree? You wouldn't necessarily get them all, but for a lot of us here, you get at least 40 to 60 new clients a year. Would that be a game changer for a lot of you guys?
Yes.
So we can agree that appointments are the number one most important leading indicator. How I explain leading and lagging indicators, I'm not the only one that does it, is that if lagging indicator is stepping on the scale for weight loss, a leading indicator is your calorie intake, right? A leading indicator is what you do, because by the time you step on the scale, can we agree the damage is done? Like, you're not changing anything
agree on
on that
that.
scale. Yeah. So the leading indicator is, what was your diet or how many times you worked out? There's a lot of leading indicators. So what I'm saying is, it to a certain extent, I'm oversimplifying, but the agreement is the scale, the activities are the calorie intake, right? Okay. So now we're going to walk into, with that mindset and that established, now we're going to walk in, what is the goal of an open house? I mean, I teed it up for you on a platter. Sarah, come on. What's the goal of an open house if I just said all that? Appointment. Well, hold on.
Am I wrong?
No, you're totally right. You're 100% right.
I didn't hear
My
what you
My
said.
question to all of you, though, and you don't have to answer out loud, but I want you to answer in your head, or for those who express outwardly, you can answer out loud. I have a feeling Sarah expresses outwardly. It's just a guess, Sarah. Just a guess. I don't know. You're kind of my fave today, so you're gonna get picked on. So unless anyone wants to step up and get picked on, because Ronnie, you were the first person on camera, so you might have to get picked on a little bit too. But what is the outcome that you want from an open house? I'm going to go back a little bit. Have you even asked yourself that question? Do you ask yourself the question, what is the outcome I want out of every single meeting, out of every single conversation you walk into? And if not, this is a great thing to write down right now in your notebooks, right? Ask yourself, what is the outcome I want from anything I do? But when you walk into an open house, what I would argue is that, and I did it too at first. So this is all, we all learn together. This isn't me like, saying you suck, because I did this for years. I did it wrong. What most of us do is we walk in and say, well, I'm going to bond and connect and get contact information from everybody. Admit it. That's kind of what your success is. That's okay. That's what mine was too, right? And so you have to look at how you define success, and what the whole premise of not just this class, but my whole underlying philosophy on open houses. And probably you could stop listening right now, because this alone is really what you need from this, is defining success by setting appointments. That's how we define success at an open house, guys. A lead isn't someone that you bonded with and they gave your contact information to. Best example I have of this is a story that I stole from Jason Abrams like 3 or 4 years ago. And I use it so often. I just used it for Inman. I'm going to be look at an Inman article today or tomorrow, and they might have printed this story, and it's completely 100% stolen from Jason Abrams, which means it's not stolen because I gave him credit. But the example I always give on this is, you walk into a store and you're looking for a pair of, green jeans. And you walk in and the very nice person greets you at the front. And they say, hi, can I help you? And what do we all say?
Just looking.
For some reason, it's so weird. We all say, no, we're good. Yeah. But you really like this person and you kind of ended up chatting with them and they were really nice, but you were in a hurry, kind of, whatever. So you went to the back of the store, you grabbed 3 or 4 pair of green jeans. Who are you looking for at that point when you've got like 10 minutes to get out of there? Who are you looking for? Are you looking for that person who you kind of might have bonded with at the front? Or are you looking for the person with the key to the dressing room?
Yep. Key to the room.
You're looking for the person with the key to the dressing room, guys. So here's the thing. Bonding with someone at the front of the store is great. In fact, I would argue I would rather have that person have the key to the dressing room. I would like them to have the key, but I need them right there next to me with a key or I'm going somewhere else. Sorry. And I would also argue that's kind of how Redfin, we've all caught up now, but for a while, way at the beginning, Redfin kind of understood that. They understood that with one click, they could have the key. And that's how they kind of got their business started, right? They kind of beat us to that punch a little bit, didn't they? With the key to that dressing room, right? So at an open house, it's not enough to just bond and get contact information. However, that we can't make an appointment with every single person there. And so that certainly does happen. So look, the first goal of an open house is to sell the actual house. We all want that to happen. How often does that happen? Not very often. Not very often, right? I mean, it happens, but not very often, right, Tom? It doesn't happen all the time. I like your background, Tom. It's making me like want to be there. So thanks for making me jealous today. Good. Number two, and this is the game changer. And this is, if you're taking notes today, this is the game changer that probably none of you have ever walked in an open house and thought, or most of you haven't, which is the real goal of an open house besides selling the house is to make an appointment literally that same day, right after the open house. That is always the goal. And we're going to talk about that today, how to do that and how to do that internally and externally. I would argue this is the next goal. It can't always happen that day, but to make an appointment a second day, but to leave that every lead in there, they're not really a lead unless you have an appointment with them, I would argue, right? And what's number four? Of course, number four is to build rapport and get their contact information. You will not be able to make an appointment with everybody. I get it, but is this a little bit of a game changer already? Have you ever walked in an open house and said, I'm going to make 2 appointments today, one at 4 and one at 5? Has anyone ever done that? That hasn't gone to one of my trainings. If you've gone to one of my trainings, that's good, but it's cheating. Yeah, I mean, right? Can we agree? Most of you guys, it's kind of like number 4, and then you think you have a good follow-up game, and you're just trying to work from that, right? Can we agree that's what most of us do? So I want you guys to understand that I believe appointments are the single most important activity in real estate, number 1, and number 2, I believe that the number 1 goal of an open house, if we can't sell the house, is to make an appointment ideally that same day. See, here's what I know, guys. The delta between setting an appointment with a cold lead and attending that appointment, the smaller the delta, the higher likelihood they will show up. Also, the delta between meeting someone and setting the appointment, the smaller that delta, the likely that you'll get the appointment. So the ultimate, Melissa, the ultimate would be I meet you, I set the appointment, and the appointment soon. That's kind of like plan A, Plan B is I meet you, I set the appointment, it's tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm assuming this is like a Sunday, right? Plan B is I meet you, I bond with you, I don't get an appointment, but I follow up, right after the open house and you see what I'm saying? So we want to shorten the deltas the best we can between setting the appointment and the appointment itself, which makes number 2 the most important thing. Makes sense so far? Just feel free to interrupt me if none of us make sense. I'm spending a little bit more time on this because this is everything, right? The rest is going to be tactics about this. And I think that if you left this training right now, I would like to think this alone is going to change your game this weekend. This alone is going to get you to walk into every single open house and sell a home. How I got to this point and how I went from E to P on this, as a matter of fact, it's on that podcast episode I was just talking about. It's episode 61 of Empire Building, and it aired last week, and I was really nervous about it airing. I shared my personal financial journey, which isn't pretty, and it kind of felt like I undressed at the doctor's office in front of thousands of people. I don't know another way to put it. When you share that kind of information, it's a vulnerable feeling, right? But I remember how I learned this is I was, on the verge of losing my house. I came to Keller Williams because I was, caught up in the downturn. I had been in real estate and my expenses were too high, and I was really the poster child of what not to do. It was kind of the example that Gary and Ben and everyone gives on spending too much money and, living beneath above your means. I was that poster child, right? And I remember walking into an open house. I can visualize the house. I remember walking into a listing in an open house, and I don't even know how I had the money to put the sign up, one of those situations. And I walked in, and I just left my family and my newborn baby at the time. And I have 3 kids, and I was like, I will freaking I have to sell a house today. Like I literally have to sell a house today. And it was almost like I had Superman eyes. Anytime someone would come in, Ronnie, I would just look at him and I'd be like, you're the one, right? And I did. And I found the one, and I made an appointment literally after the open house. And that was on a Sunday. We got pending on a Tuesday. True story. And that's when I started realizing that intense focus, because I had to do it. that intense focus actually was the best thing that ever happened to me. I never viewed open houses the same again, right? So I didn't learn this because everything was going well. I learned this because I had to take care of my family, and, you know, hopefully you don't have to get to that point where I can teach you this, you know, and you don't have to go through what I went through to learn it. And that's why I have a heart to teach, right? So that I can teach you this, what I learned the hard way. You don't have to learn it the hard way, right? You can skip that part. You can keep your house. We kept our house. We're fine. We're good. Listen to the podcast, so you'll hear it. So these are the steps to get to our goals that we're talking about. Number one, we talked about, be clear about your goal. Have a goal. Define success by appointments and not warm fuzzies. Now, you know, obviously we're going to talk about it here. You need contact information. You're not going to make an appointment with everybody. I get it, but that's plan B, not plan A, right? Plan B is you're going to do the warm fuzzies. Plan A is you get an appointment that day. Okay. Research. We're going to talk about, you know, how to present a home and how to not look like a dummy. You want to look smart. This is a job interview. You are auditioning, right? And I have a little funny slide at the end about what you should be wearing, because I have some fun stories about agents who, you know, didn't heed those words. So this is a job interview. You know, you need to do your research. You need to look smart. Just like if you were coming to interview with me or Ben for a job, you'd know your stuff. You know, if Melissa said, "Hey, I want to tap you on the shoulder," or Olivia or someone for a leadership position, you'd show up, you'd do your research, you'd know what you're doing, right? This is the same thing. These are job interviews are going on every single week when we do these, right? Number three, promote it. We're going to not spend quite as much time here because I feel like there's so much great training about it, right? We do a lot of training on my Wednesday webinars on stuff like this too. So with that said, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about setup and signage here. Number four, have a sign-in and automation plan. We'll talk about that and some strategies behind that. And then number five, close. How do we get an appointment that same day? So in the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to cover all 5 steps. And I hope that my goal is by the end of this, that all of you guys do an open house over the next few weekends, and that you reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram or through Melissa, through Olivia, through whatever. And you share success stories, because you will have them. We do this training for all of our agents, and it is my joy to hear about these. I have people writing offers, getting listings, all from this training. So, all right, we're gonna do a little breezy extra there on what our traffic reports look like, and fun little dress code slide that you're gonna love. Okay. Any questions so far before we dive in? We got number one, which is goal. Now we're gonna get on property research. All right.
There is a question
Really?
in the
Yeah,
chat.
sorry about that.
Question in the chat via just
Real
wondering how
person
many
have.
people you have at each open house. Do you staff it with more than one, or?
Yeah. I will answer that.
Okay.
I will answer that. And the answer is, you can do it however you want, but we'll talk about it when we talk about sign-in strategy and kind of all that. So that's a great question, Lisa. But Lisa, I wouldn't know what you look like because you're not on camera. Have you guys seen that really funny video that says if you're on Zoom, not on camera, it's the equivalent of walking into a conference room with a bag over your head? Okay, done.
Yeah, I was on an OP Zoom with Ben a couple weeks ago, and Lisa I think is driving, by the way, but I was on this OP Zoom with Ben, and there was like 25 other people, and me and like 3 other people were the only people with their cameras on.
He hates that. He hates it.
He hates it. He literally said, you know what, I'm taking my time to do this for you, you know, no charge, obviously, and I'm going to assume that you're either naked or you're still in bed for the day.
Yeah, please do not come on camera if you're naked. Don't need to see it. Don't want to see it. We're good.
All of a sudden, there was like 23 more people that turned on their camera, so he got his point across.
If you are on a Ben Kinney Company's Zoom with Ben, you absolutely do not stay off camera. You will be called out. You will be publicly shamed. Patty, what does he do? He will like not present. You just can't do it around our neck.
We're not going to do that here today, but
it didn't work. It didn't work. I'm not guilting anyone because no one's popping up. All right.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Really briefly on property research, we're not going to spend too much time because I think you guys are all pretty good at this. But you need to know enough, but not everything. And the reason we need to know enough is, like you want to look smart, you go see the house ahead of time, understand how you're going to present it and walk through. You need to know the very, very basics. Talk to the listing agent, find out. Now, if it's your listing, this is obviously not relevant, right? This is if you're doing an open house for someone else, but please do your research, guys. Understand, is there an offer on the table? Are there offers due at a certain date? Have they had any offers? What's the property history? You really need to know the basics, like at least know the schools, at least know the park names so that you don't look like a dummy. You don't have to be like an absolute expert at everything. If it's a new construction listing, at least know something about the the builder. It just doesn't look good if someone comes and says, well, tell me about the builder. I don't know. I don't know about the builder it just, know enough that, again, think of it like a job interview. The reason I say don't know everything, why do you think I say don't quite know everything? Wendy?
So you have a reason to get back to them. Somebody just responded.
I had to wait for my
100%.
kids to leave.
100%. We want to, things that make sense to not know, like, property lot lines and, different things like that. Like, I would argue if it's like a condo, you probably want to know if they allow, pit bulls, but you don't have to know everything. So know enough to sound smart. I'll leave you to kind of use your best judgment on that. But I want to kind of plant the seed that it's really, really great to go preview the house and have a site visit and kind of understand. I like to ask the listing agent, or back in the day when I was doing them for other people, what are the big objections you're getting? What are people saying? I try to preview, any of the competition, any of the comparables, right? For a couple different reasons. So just do enough research to show up and kind of understand what you're talking about. Does that make sense? And I know it sounds really obvious, but if it's on here as a slide, I can tell you, like, almost 20 years of experience, there's a reason there's a slide for this. So just, if this sounds obvious to you, it's not so obvious to everybody. I can definitely share that. All right. Number 2, house presentation. So I do come from a builder and new construction background. My father started a company called Team Builder, and my brother took it over and purchased it. And they're actually a Keller Williams team. So if you ever look at the top 50 teams, sometimes they're top 20, and you go, what's Team Builder? That's my family's, that's my brother's, totally separate from my business. But I grew up working with builders and developers from a very young age. And when you work for new construction, anyone here ever worked for a builder or still works for a builder?
Yep. We've got one in the
Yeah.
room.
You got one in the room. You get taught how to present a house, don't you? And you don't get taught that with resale, I find. So I just want to spend a brief moment talking really quick about the house demonstration, which I feel like is like a lost art in real estate training. So I'm only going to spend a moment on it, but we want to pre-plan your path. Part of this is going to come from what we call discovery in the critical path. And whoever raised their hand that does new construction, you will recognize the term critical path of sales because it's a new construction. It's a new build term that we use. But pre-plan how you're going to present the house. You will not present the house to everybody, but you want to be prepared for that Superman eye person that you go, right, Ronnie? That person that we just decide are going to be our person, right? So we want to kind of pre-plan our path. Part of that's going to stem from the discovery process. We're going to learn about them, and they're going to say, look, I don't care about anything else. I care about the family room. I care about the great room. I care about the kitchen. Well, you might tweak your critical path if that wasn't first, right? But know kind of the best way to show people through the house. Always start at the front door. Some houses are funky and it's easier to go through no, houses are designed to walk through a front door. Very, very important. We always steer people to the front door. Point out features from discovery. Doing discovery is that sales process we do very early on where we're learning about them, right? And so if Tom, if you say to me, Via, I want, 3 bedrooms, and it's really important to me that I have a gourmet kitchen, that I have a, I want a man cave. I want a space that I can, I just saw a great man cave Monday night. I did a walkthrough with an agent, and this guy has the outline of the tools, the whole thing. And so I might point out some of these features like, hey, Tom, wouldn't this be a great man cave, right? So really listen from your discovery and think about how you're going to present the house to hit those points. We're going to talk about micro closes. So a micro close is when Tom says to me, Via, here's what I want. I want this neighborhood. I know I want this neighborhood, and I want 3 rooms, and I really want a man cave, and my wife really wants a kitchen, right? Gourmet kitchen. So I'm going to walk your wife you through, and I'm going to start micro closing you. I'm going to say, Tom, are you married, Tom? I shouldn't have presumed.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. What's your wife's name?
Forget his
You guys know?
I forget.
Pat.
Pat?
Mm.
Pat?
Yes.
Okay. So Tom, I'm going to say, I'm going to say, hey, Tom and Pat, let's start in the kitchen then. Pat, what do you think? Could this kitchen work? Is this what you would call a gourmet kitchen? And Pat might say, yeah, this is great. It's even better than I thought. I'm like, awesome. Cool. Come on over here. Here's the 3 bedrooms. Do you think these could work? These are micro closes. Tom and Pat say yes. And I go, Pat, we're going downstairs because I'm showing you the amazing man cave. It's not used as a man cave now, but I think it'd be great. And we go downstairs and I say, Tom, what do you think about this as a man cave? He's like, this is perfect. Now I've micro closed him 3 times based on my discovery, right? So how do you think it's going to be when I get to the close where I'm going to meet with him, for an appointment, right? It's going to go well. Really, really briefly, this is a Via pet peeve. Do not block people's sightlines. Here's what I mean by that. And when I teach this in person, it's a little easier, but I should have had Hattie come in here. But a lot of the times what I see agents do is they will walk into a room, and the best visual in your head is think about like a big, great room with a sweeping view. Okay. I've seen this so many times. And the agent will walk in. Now you're facing me. Let's pretend the view's behind me. I'm like, what do you think of the view? We don't do that. What we do is we open doors, we usher people in front of us, or if there's no door, we usher them in front of us, and we let them see what the room. Don't block their sight line there, right? I would also argue it's a safety concern, especially with the females in the room. Don't get yourself boxed into a room anyway, right? So we should always be standing back and letting people go in front of us. Does that make sense? We don't block their sight lines. That's just a fun little Via pet peeve. It has nothing to do with getting an appointment, but anyway. So that's it. So you want to research the property, and you do want to know how to kind of present the house and know it enough so that you can take the discovery that you're learning from them and present it, right? All right. So we're going to kind of skim over promotion, but these are some great ways to promote. We're going to talk about signage in a minute. We're going to talk about action plans a little later, but I love door knocking. I love leveraging your sphere on social media, especially. I love circle prospecting. Circle prospecting is kind of a mini farm when you send mailings and stuff to the neighborhood. So all of these things are really good for promotion, and feel free to take a screenshot. I don't think you need it. I don't think this is necessarily like that revolutionary, right? This is, this is a Via DHB, deeply held belief. None of you are using enough signs. There, I said it. None of you are using enough signs. The average real estate agent uses 4 or 5 A-board signs or sandwich signs or whatever you use, 4 or 5 signs per open house. The number one thing you can do to increase traffic, you guys, is to triple the amount of signs you use. It is the best thing you can do. There's a ton of research behind it. And there's a ton of research behind what we call T-toppers and balloons. I know. Have you wondered why apartment communities use balloons all the time on signs? It's because they work. There's a couple consumer psychology things behind this. Number one, consumers don't trust signs anymore because they see so many of them. So the T-toppers, so they're just, you can either staple them on depending on your kind of signs or stick them in on top of a sandwich board. T-toppers show the consumer that there's actually someone there, because that deli sign that's been on that corner now for like 2 years, they don't trust signs anymore. You know, those big sandwich boards that stay there, for years, they're not trusting it. If they see fresh balloons, or they see something that says open today 1 to 4, or new listing, or, cold beverages or warm beverages or whatever the thing is, they trust that there's an event there. Number two, a lot of people are finding your property online, yes, but they need those signs to actually get there. They actually need those signs. Number three, people feel more secure and safe and more they're more likely to take a risk and go into your open house if they feel like a lot of people are there. They can kind of have a little anonymity. They don't want to be cornered by you necessarily if they feel like no one's there. And having an abundance of signs makes them feel like there's an event going on. I cannot emphasize enough how many signs you need to use. And here's the deal. It sucks. There is nothing worse. It's the worst part of real estate when you live in your area and my area. Nothing sucks as bad as the friggin' 4 o'clock on a Sunday, rainy, dark, horrible pickup of signs. Can we all agree? It's really the worst part of it. Sucks. Setting them up is bad. I don't know what it is. Picking them up it's the worst ever. All you want to do is go home. All you want to do is get out of there. And the thought of picking up 15 signs, it's horrible. And I'm going to say something else. Leaving your family for 3 or 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday is kind of horrible too. So why don't you get a whole bunch of people at your open house and crush it and go make a lot of money and go put more signs out. If you're going to go sacrifice 3 hours at an open house, add another hour. That's all it takes to take this time up front to put more signs out. Literally, like, things to write down are goal and outcome, get an appointment, and signage. Like those are the three things. Y'all hate me. Y'all just totally hate. Okay, 40 plus signs. Carrie, I love you. Like that. Yes. Literally 100 signs. Like, yes, pay your teenage kids that aren't doing anything anyway. Get them off the Xbox, get them off Roblox or Minecraft or Madden or whatever they're doing. Oh, sorry. Did I just like, what is the word when it's like happening in your family and you say it? Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. So anyway, I really, really feel strongly about this. Okay, you guys, I really want you to, I want to be your conscience. I want to be your guilty conscience in your head. I want you to go, I wish I never heard that. And I want you to add more signs. All right, I'm done. Setup. Really, really briefly. On time means 15 minutes before start, because who here has not had that fun? We all have been late for an open house. If you've done real estate long enough, you've been late for an open house. There's nothing worse than showing up and people are waiting, right? Oh, it's the worst. It's horrible. It's almost as bad as picking up those signs on a rainy 4 o'clock Sunday. I always like to unload my stuff and either park in the garage if it suits or way far away. I want to leave the really prime spots for my guests. That's really important to me, right? If I have to bring in, it used to be, remember, phone books, but if I Amazon boxes, and just be sure that, we're doing a little sweep. We just want to make sure that front area looks really nice. Nothing is beneath any of us. We need to present this house well, right? All lights on, all lights on. All fireplaces and heated floors on, unless it's now. But for the most part, seasonally, you want everything on, right? I like to have audio and home theaters on. I really like Pixar type things playing for the kids. And I think it shows color and sound really well. It's not really controversial. I don't like to have controversial things on. So I like to have all the interior doors open. So the lights are on. I just want you to visualize lights are on. It's tidied up. Just, I set my spot up, just, get there early enough to prep it so that you're not like rushing around, right? You all know that. Okay, I want to move into sign in. This is number 4 because I want to be sure that we have time for how to close to get our appointment. Have a sign in strategy. There's a lot of sign in strategies. There's a lot of ways to kill the cat. And here's where I want to talk about how many of you are doing these open houses. So right now, what are you guys experiencing for open houses as far as traffic? How busy are they?
Anybody in the room done one lately? They're getting good traffic, I think, by the sounds of it.
What's good traffic for
What's
you
good
guys? How many groups?
People did you have? How many groups?
Oh my gosh, I had them almost every weekend.
You getting 10 couples through,
Yeah,
or
well, actually, 2
40?
weeks ago, we didn't have much. It was in the get your pardon, St. Paul.
Sure.
But like Lakeville and Farmington, Apple Valley, we had
Approximately 10 couples or 50
no,
couples?
I got 15, 20.
15 to 20?
15
Kim?
or 20?
Same, Kim? Okay, anybody online?
I get like 5 to 10.
5 to 10?
Yeah, those higher prices, 700.
Yeah. 5 to 10?
Yeah, I think the traffic is down a little bit from
Yeah.
past year or so.
And the other thing I've noticed is majority of the guests are represented. So
Mhm.
it's a little more of a challenge to find the unrepresented buyers.
Okay, so we're going to dive in. Good, perfect. So in answer to your question, you can always do an open house with two people, and there's a lot of reasons to do it. Safety is one of them. You know, there's a lot of reasons to do it. If you are doing it that way, you know, be sure that you have an understanding of who the leads are going to and who's doing what. So if you have a lender that's volunteering to do it with you, I like their role. They are the greeter and they get everybody registered. And so you can just Superman eye people and kind of choose who you want to spend time with and kind of, you know, be, you can focus on the sales process, right? If you do have two people, you know, just decide, you could do every other one, you know, just like a retail setting. I know that Hattie comes from a retail background and she just did a number of open houses with two of them doing both of those. Hattie, how did you guys kind of handle that last weekend and the weekend before?
Honestly, Shay, which is Via's assistant, she would kind of do the greeting and the register, and then I would take on any of the clients, and especially the ones that we knew didn't have an agent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you kind of have someone teeing it up and there's kind of this understanding of who's working the leads, like I said, and who's not. Um, there's a lot of, you know, gifts from the last year. It's been a tough year for everybody, but one of the gifts here in Washington State is that it's a requirement that they have to register for open houses. You know, for COVID purposes, which, you know, doesn't suck. So one of the great things is people want to be hands-free, which means they like QR codes, which means now everybody's registering right into my CRM. It's the beautiful thing. So, you know, the best registration policy I have right now for you is to somehow do a QR code into Command. We use Brivity, obviously, because we own Brivity, but whatever your CRM is have a QR code or have a touchpad. Not everyone wants to touch the touchpad, right? But we used to have a touchpad. We used to have an iPad and we had a stand that was kind of affixed to it, was kind of locked to it. Whatever it is, what Brivity and I think Command has it, and then I know other CRMs have it set on their open house setting where people by registering, they're registering right onto your CRM. They're basically saying, Via, I want to be on your CRM and sign up, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that COVID's given us. Prior to this, you know, there's a couple ways I would register people. I would say, hey, you know, the seller's requiring that we get registration, and I would either hand them the iPad or it would be affixed to a stand that we have, or I would just say, you know, hey, Wendy, so what did you say your last name was? And yeah, the seller's requiring, you know, that we register everyone. Just really quick, what's your cell phone number and what's your email? And I would just kind of bond with you a little bit and I would get it that way. I like to do that. I like to do two-step registration because what I find sometimes is they'll do like Mickey Mouse 5551212 maybe on this. But once they start to get to know you and like you, I like to have a backup plan so that, you know, if they gave false information on that, they're like, oh, I like her. I might even want to get information from her, right? They might give me their real information. So it kind of gives them a chance to save face, right? So I like to do kind of a two-step registration. If I'm Superman-izing someone and I'm trying to get an appointment or I'm bonding when there's any type of a click, I'm going to also manually get some kind of information if I can from them. Like, hey, do you want me to just text you right now? Super quick, what's your cell? Or, you know, I'm trying to find what I call hooks and carrots to get back to them at or whatever. So, you know, so I like to have some kind of an automated login, you know, registration process. And then I like to back it up with, you know, kind of a manual, and some kind of a manual system where I'm either writing it down or typing it into my phone. So that's number one. Number two, this is really important, and it can any CRM on the planet. And again, you know, we use Brivity because we own Brivity. Brivity is our in-house, you know, tech, but I know Command can do this too. Please, you guys, embrace automation. A human being cannot physically handle this many leads. It is just too hard. You need to take the time up front and you just have to sit down. It's like, you know, ripping a Band-Aid off, I know, but you have to sit down and if it's Brivity, just use our auto plans and customize them. If it's Command, whatever, automate this. Automate it so that they're getting, did I put one in here? I don't know if I have one on here, but so that they're getting a welcome text 2 hours after they register, so that they're automatically set up on a listing alert based on the open house, so that, you know, there's a whole email, we have a whole bunch of auto plans on Brivity. We have, if they have email only, we have, if, you know, we have a ton of auto plans that are baked into Brivity, and I think Command does. Obviously, I don't know as much about Command because I use Brivity, but it doesn't matter. They all have them, right? Have automation, you guys. You can't keep up, especially if you're going to roll into this and go to 1 or 2 appointments after this, right? Let your automation work for you. I just feel so bad. I see agents spending, you know, hours and hours every weekend going to open houses, and they are bonding with people, even if they're not making appointments, and they're getting people to register, and then they're just sitting there and doing nothing. If you take a little bit of time up front to automate this, it will make such a difference, because over time, you know, those people will start converting, and they've now been seeing your face on your listing alerts. They've now been, you know, seeing texts from you potentially, and they will pop out of nowhere. Has anyone ever had someone just pop out of nowhere that they put on an automated plan from an open house? Has anyone had that?
Yes.
Yeah. Who said that?
Sarah in the room.
Isn't it amazing? And, you know, you put in the work, you were there. So your automation, this is one of the best forms of leverage we have is automation. So embrace this, right? Get them to register right into your CRM, whatever that CRM is, and have some kind of an automated flow. All right. So here's the deal. I want to go through the critical path of sales. And any of you who've done new construction kind of know this, but the first one we wanted to do is we want to meet and we want to bond, you know, family, occupation, recreation, dreams is Ford. Everyone has, you know, their own opening lines. I kind of like, well, you know, howdy, how's the home search going? Oh, we're just a neighbor. Oh, awesome. Are you guys kind of interested in the value of your home, or you just kind of wanted to see inside your neighbor's home? And, you know, I tend to start with that. That's kind of my go-to. Ben Kinney has one that I love. I love this script. And in full disclosure, it's a little long for me to kind of use as an opening line. So I tend to kind of work more into this script in a more casual way. It's not as scripted, but, you know, his script is, you know, Sarah, I find people come to open houses for one of 2 reasons. They have a home to sell or they have a home to buy. Which one are you? And it's a great script. I find that I kind of start with how's the home search going? Then I might roll into that or a version of that, right? So whatever it is, we want to meet with them. This is the dorky time where you're like, you know, oh, I see you've got a University of Washington, you know, Husky hat on, you know, my brother is a Husky, or, you know, can you believe this weather? You know, all the stupid things that we like bond over, right? So you really want to do that when they first come in. And then we want to start doing discovery. So we kind of went through that a little bit with Tom and Pat, didn't we? It was a fake one. But, you know, Tom and Pat, what are you guys looking for today? You know, you said you're a buyer, and we want to go right into LP Mama. LP Mama is, you know, Tom, are you guys looking in this neighborhood? Is this kind of the good location for you? We're going to move into what price range are you guys looking at? And, you know, what's your timing? Motivation is another word for timing. You know, what's your timing on that? And are you guys working with an agent? And, you know, do you have, you know, a lender you're working with? So LP Mama is just kind of our go-to pre-qualification, what I would call discovery script, because you see, we have appointment last. It's no surprise that LP Mama ends with an appointment, because that's the most important activity, right? Here is the gold of this class. And here's what I want you guys all to write down. And I want you all you go-getters to promise me you are going to practice and you are going to do this at your next open house. You all promise that you're going to try this at your next open house. And I want you to somehow find me on social media and tell me how it went.
Hey, Tasha.
This is the story of the script really quick. I started my team in December of 2013 when I hired my first agent. She'd never sold a house before. She'd just gotten her license. So it's now second week of January, and we're bringing a listing on, and it is hot listing. It's in a hot area. It's in Redmond, right by Microsoft. And I knew even back then, this was like 2013, I knew we were going to get multiple offers even back then, right? So she all week, she's like, Via, you have to train me on an open house. I don't know how to do one. I've never done one because I didn't have this class. I was just like blowing and going. I was just like a busy agent, like, you know, like we all are. And she kept pestering me. So finally, it's the Friday before. And she literally physically shuts my office door and says, you're not leaving this office until you train me. I don't know how to do an open house. I'm like, fine. Okay, fine. So I go, all right, how to train you. I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. Stand in front of me. And so she stands in front of me. I go, okay. Anytime someone walks in the door, you say, register here. She goes, okay. I say, say it after me, register here. Okay, fine. And back then, you know, back then it was like a sign up sheet, you know, because I'm old. It was a long time ago. So I said, register here. And then I said, okay, the minute someone says like anything about the house, I want you to just repeat after me. Say, great. Ready? Great. Would you like to meet with me after the open house and write an offer on this home? She
There we
goes, "Oh, okay, that's it. I go, that's it. So say it after me. She goes, would you like to meet with me after this open house and write an offer on this home? I go, say it again. Would you like to meet with me after the open house to write an offer on this home? Say it again. I go 20 times. Go. Happy, sad. Say it again. Fast, slow. Da, da, da. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. And we stood there. True story. We stood there in my office and we did this. What do you think happened her first weekend of ever doing open houses? Has anyone heard me tell this story?
I think so.
Sunday, my phone starts blowing up and it's Isabel. It's a true story. And I'm at a kid's soccer game. I don't remember what I was doing, but I have 3 kids. Who knows what I was doing? And my phone starts blowing up and she goes, I don't know what to do. Call me. So I call her and she goes, okay, how do I write 2 different offers on this property with 2 different buyers? I didn't learn that in real estate school. I don't know how to do that. I was like, wait, what? You can't do that. You can't write 2 different offers on this house. We had to refer it out to an agent. And fun fact, she did not get that house. We ended up having multiple offers and someone won. Other fun fact, she goes and does an open house the next month. A true story, $1.2 million listing. It was one of ours. Her first deal, she double ends that listing using that script. Her very first deal in real estate was a $1.2 million sale from an open house with the script.
Of course.
So this isn't just me, like this works. This is how we've done it. So this is your script. I want you all to promise, take a screenshot of this, type it out, write it out, practice with role play partners. It is not hard. Here's what typically happens, you know, whoa, nope. I don't think so. And then what you do is you roll right into whatever script you want to use to get a buyer consult or a listing consult, right? If it's a neighbor or whatever it is, say, awesome. Well, I'd love to come over to your house. I can give you a pricing analysis and give you a home prep list, right? I'd be happy to do that. Most of my clients think those are really, really useful. Well, I don't want you to waste our time. You know, I don't want to waste your time. I don't know. Totally fine. Oh my gosh, it's so good for me to see off-market inventory, seriously. And it'll be so helpful for you because it's going to help you make your decision better, right? Why don't I'll pop over at 4. I don't even care if your house is messy. All I'll do is do a quick breeze through and I'll just give you a pricing analysis and tell you what I think you should spend money on. Like, don't spend money. You know, I like, I'm really forceful like that, but it's in a really nice way, right? I'm going to try to force that appointment. So here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing about the appointment and forcing the appointment. I'm going to wrap because it's 9:59. Everything you do, you need to get an appointment. All of this is to get an appointment, right? What I want you guys to think about is, you know, what is your automation process? What are you doing for follow-up? And also, you know, how are you getting people to sign in? How are you keeping track of the people that you're not making an appointment with? But for those of you who are thinking, gosh, you know, after doing a 2 or 3 hour open house, I just want to go home. I get it. I do get it. I understand it. I want your mentality to change though. If you're doing an open house from 1 to 4 on a Sunday, or let's use Saturday as an example, from 1 to 4 on a Saturday, what I want you to tell your brain and your family and your friends is that I'm actually working 11 to 7, guys. I'm working 11 to 7 on Saturday. Oh, okay. Well, why are you working 11 to 7? Well, because I have an open house 1 to 4. So your spouse says, well, I don't get it. Like, if you have an open house 1 to 4, why are you working 11 to 7? Well, I have to put up 15 signs, and then I'm going to count on an appointment at 4:30 and an appointment at 6. So that's my goal today. So if I come home early, I failed, right? What I want you to think is that this is a full day shift, and your open house is the lead gen part of the day, and it's going to roll into the appointment part of the day. That's your new mentality. And that's really how I want you to think about open houses. And then I want you to think about how you're maintaining all the other people that you're meeting that you're not getting appointments with, right? So it's 10:01. I'm sorry I went a minute over, but I hope that helped.
It's awesome. Awesome. Let's give her a hand. Come off mute and give her a hand, please.
Thank you. And I'm happy to, if you guys have any questions or comments or whatever, I'm good for a few more minutes. Otherwise we can just sign off, but I want to be sure that I'm answering any questions that anyone might
Anybody
have.
on Zoom have a question, or anybody in the room?
Did you say that?
So great. So great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. You guys, you got some ahas from that?
Yes, and there was a question in the room. Sammy is going to create a video. She's our tech ambassador to show us how to create those QR codes right in Command. So we'll get that
Yes.
for you guys this afternoon.
Perfect. Perfect. I know you can do it. I just don't know how, right?
No, that's
So,
fine.
Yeah.
Oh, one more question.
What's the tactic with the represented, buyers already coming in, or they say they know a family member, gone with someone in the past? What's kind of
Could you hear that, or you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, like, so what do you do when people say they're represented? And I think, Tom, you mentioned this too earlier, right? I did tell you that I would get back. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple of things, a couple of comments I have on that. Seattle is a market that, and I have a pretty high end luxury business, which in the higher the price point you get, the more represented they tend to be, right? So I have a couple comments about that. One of them is when I teach LP Mama, if we could have done this whole thing on LP Mama, as you guys know. And that maybe, internally, Melissa or Olivia or whatever, that just doing an hour on LP Mama is good, right? I'm going to do a Wednesday webinar on that in the next few months as well. So I'll send you guys the link when I do it. But my comment on that is that I don't always ask. And that's a little controversial, but I don't. If I can close for an appointment, that answers that. I don't need to know. I don't need to put them in a situation where they're going to be like, yeah, I'm working with someone. I find sometimes if you ask a direct question, you'll get a direct answer. And it's the same answer that I give when a salesperson asks me when I walk into Nordstrom and they say, can I help you? And I say, no. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, but I kind of need their help. And I might actually like them better than, I don't know. So I don't always ask, number one. Number two, if someone proactively brings up their agent 2 or 3 times, guys, they have an agent and you just move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea. It actually helps me understand who I'm going to spend time with, right? If I'm forsaking other people and I'm Superman, if I'm manning eyes Ronnie, right? But I'm realizing there's other people in here. I might want to know if I should keep spending time with them. I might ask them. So it kind of is situational, but if I'm showing and presenting, Tom and Pat the house and we're micro closing whatever. And I'm like, what do you guys think? I mean, Tom, do you want to meet after this and run an offer on this house? And you're going to say, no, I don't think we're ready yet. I'm like, perfect. What are you ready for? Are you ready for me to come over and take a look at your house? Let's do that. Why don't I look, I'm going to pack up here at 4. I can be there at 4:30. Let's start there. And then we can talk. We can just spend some time on you and your home search and kind of what you guys are thinking. And, and I can give you some really good information on how much your house is going to be worth, right? And what you should spend money on. I know that in our walkthrough, you mentioned you were going to remodel the bathroom. And before you go spend that money, I'm happy to weigh in. You may not need to. So I'm just gonna, kind of pivot. And if Tom's going to invite me in his house, guys, he doesn't really have an agent, right? I don't probably really need to know if 3 Redfin agents opened a door for him because I'm going to go get him. So it's not a black and white answer for me, right? But again, that's because I'm actively doing this and I'm literally selling now. And so I think some sales trainers would give you some really smooth like objection handlers on that, and I think the reality is it's just not always that black and white. We can all agree that when you're in the moment, you kind of make these game day calls. So I have 3 or 4 tools in my arsenal with that, right? And I'm in an area where a lot of people are represented. I mean, it's just kind of it's a pro realtor area. So for me, I think that's probably where my answer comes from. So if you're in an area where a lot of people are represented like mine, like we have really good agents in Seattle, Washington, we have really good agents, then you might want to consider what I'm saying and not always ask what you don't want to hear the answer to, because most of them have not signed a buyer brokerage agreement.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Buyers, buyer broker, so
Yeah, exactly. And make sure you sign your agents into, or your clients into contracts, so this doesn't happen.
Yeah. Do you want to hear my hack really quick? And you can just hang up if you have to go. Do you want to hear how we get almost everybody to sign one?
Yes.
It was the biggest gift and I fought back on it. Melissa, you're going to laugh really hard. I was like that diva agent back in the day who fought back on this. So our brokers are amazing here. Now I run all of our brokerages. So I'm like, oh, I was so bad. But so we have amazing brokers and they came out with these beefy disclosure packets like 4 or 5 years ago, like really beefy, like our buyers have to sign all this documents, right? And I was like, to sign all these documents. And I was like that horrible agent, right? And one day I went and I was training a buyer's agent and I went and did a buyer consult. And you know, when things come out of your mouth and they come out of your mouth in the heat of the moment. So I'm meeting with this buyer and we're going through, and at the very end I go, perfect. Are you excited to work with, whoever it was, Kayla? Yeah, we want to work with you guys. And I'm like, I'm going to oversee this whole thing. It's going to be great. Kayla's going to be your agent. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you our Keller Williams buyer disclosures and a buyer loyalty agreement for Kayla. It's all going to be, we're going to get you all set up on Authentisign. That way, when it's time to write your offer, you're all set up on the digital signature. It goes really smoothly and it's great. And we're going to have a law of, real estate agency on there and some affiliated business disclosures and whatever. I started putting the buyer loyalty agreements in our company disclosures, and I was thanking my team leader. I was hugging her from then on out because they had to sign them. It was a gift. It was a gift to us because by having them have to sign disclosures, you just put it right on in there and they all signed it. They all signed the buyer. So we have buyer agreements on every single one of our buyers because we have disclosure packets. So be careful what you fight back on, right? It was like a gift to me when, but I didn't see it that way at first. Typical.
Great. That's great. All right, Vija, you're amazing.
you,
Thanks,
Vija.
guys. Sorry I went long. My bad.
Have an awesome
Appreciate
day.
it.
Bye.
Thanks, Ian.